Hello, this is Steve Foxon here again from Resomonics, this time here with part 3 of the Reflection 1.6 tutorial. In the first two we covered layers and effects, and in this one I'm going to concentrate on the rhythm section, which is the area which got the big update in version 1.6, in that you can now apply the LFOs and filter rhythm to each layer individually, as opposed to before where it just applied to the whole lot. This opens up some great possibilities with regards to the sounds that you can come up with. So for this tutorial I have got rid of the sound we were working on before, and starting afresh with another 3-layer mix, because I just wanted to do something a little bit different than the ambience that we did last time. So in the rhythm section, you, as per the effects section, have this little mini mixer, where the coloured square with the number is the volume for those layers: volume for layer 1, volume for layer 2, volume for layer 3. You've got the solo and mute buttons just there, and the little meter next to it, so you can see that. There you go. And at the bottom here, also the pan for the 3 different layers. Just going to set those back to default. So as I say, the 3 different layers that we've got here are, so we've got a long one there on layer 1. Ooh, a bit loud. And we've got a short one on layer 2. And I think we've got another long one on layer 3. Ooh, yeah. Much louder one, that. So, we're going to start with layer 1, but just before we go into actually designing the sound, we have the layers area here, which is just like as it was in version... we have the layers area here, which is similar to the layers tab. This time though, you don't get the individual layers for each LFO, it's all global, so that's layer 1, layer 2, and the colours are matching the layers section as well, and layer 3 for the filters and the source. You've also got the link and the lock again, which works the same as in the layers section. So at the moment they're linked, so when I change a value there, it changes the same in all the layers. If I try to unlink it, it won't let me at the moment because the lock is on, so I need to turn the lock off. That will then allow me to turn the link off, so then I can change the amount on 1, 2 and 3, and there you go, it's different on them all. And as with the layers page, if I then click on the link button, it then, as you'll see there, sets them all to the same as the currently selected layer. So I'm going to unlink that, but I am going to lock it because it's a good idea to keep it locked all the time. So starting here with layer 1. I'll show you what everything on the source page does. So first of all, on each page you have the, on each LFO you have the amount and the rate and the sync button. It's the same for all 3. The amount is how much of the LFO is applied, from, so the balance between the dry signal without it and the wet signal with it. The rate is how fast that is, and the sync button there, basically when it's synced it will sync to tempo. When it's not synced it won't sync to tempo, and that allows you to get much faster LFO, which I'll show you in a minute how useful that can be in creating a more fat sound. Over here we have your standard LFO shapes: sine, triangle, rectangle, saw, a random, and the width, which applies to the rectangle only. And presets, clicking on that will bring up a list of presets. So if I want to go straight for a saw down, I can click on that, and I can also use the buttons to go left and right here to change them as well. We'll stick with the saw, and I'll just show, I'll put that gain right up, get the rate somewhere in the middle, and this is what happens. And we can increase the rate, or we can go something a lot slower if we really want. If we maybe change that to a sine, you get sort of more smooth up and down. And speed that up. And if you put it quite fast and maybe turn the amount down, it's even a bit like a tremolo effect. But let's just show you the some of the different waveforms. So this is the sine, and then we've got the rectangle, and the width on that, which affects the length of it. And we've got the what's next? The inverted rectangle, which is the same but just the other way around. The saw, which we've already listened to. Random. And then we've got some sort of mixture going on here with the presets as well. Okay, so let's just get that back to go for a rectangle. Just want to show you this with the sync rate off. I mean, with it on, you can get quite fast. But take the sync off, and as you can see, you can go way before we had. So that's pretty much matching that, but then you've got all this extra space. And you see it becomes less of a rhythm and more of a fattening of the sound. So that can be very useful. And one tip here as well is adding, I'm going to map the amount to the mod wheel just there, and you can now play and add in or take out the rhythm, which can be very handy when you're composing. So that can be very handy. I've used that quite a lot. So we're going to keep that, but I'm just going to take that off for now because I just want to show you the other things that we can do here. So pan, if the amount here is how wide in the stereo it is. So if we have it on full and a really slow rate and a sine wave, you'll hear that the sound will sort of gradually go from left to right and in the stereo field. Or we can lessen that so it's not so wide. And we can speed it up, which can be bad for your ears. Change the shape. And again, if we take the sync off, actually very useful here. You can make a nice sort of stereo effect almost. Better with the sine wave maybe. Okay, but for now I think we're going to leave it on quite a slow sine wave going left to right. And then the pitch finally, we'll stay on the same layer. And obviously if you take this to its extremes, it can sound not exactly musical. Unless of course that sort of music is your taste. But on something like this you can put a slow rate on a small amount of pitch, just to add some sort of maybe similar to analog drift. Probably a bit too much there. And you can take it to its extreme again. And get the some nice sounds going in there. But if you slow it down and sync it up, it can be, if you put it with a rectangle, it can be quite musical. The other way around. So it can work. I'm not going to have any of that on, but meanwhile we will put those two back on for this layer. So nip over to layer 2, and because it is all currently linked, it is sounding the same. But we're going to get rid of that pan, and we'll have a different shape on the gain, I think. Okay, and that's the short one as well. And then finally layer 3. I'm not going to put any of that on. We're going to go for a filter on this one. So this is the way the filters work. You enable it, it's a low pass filter, and it works just like a filter. So without and with. Now on this we can either add one of the two LFOs, so let's just try this one for a minute with a triangle. And the main difference is that's based on 16ths, whereas filter 2 is based on 8ths, so a little bit slower. Okay, we'll just turn that off for a minute because I want to show you the filter sequence. So this little area here is different for each layer with regards to the rhythm, but the number of steps and the rate remains the same for all three layers. So you have the number of steps dial here. So if I increase that to say 25, even though the link isn't on, you will see on the other layers that it's the same amount. And if I change that to an eighth, then it's changed on all of them. Basically that's synchronized across the three layers. What can be different is the actual pattern itself. Now with regards to the steps, you can alter the number of steps using the dial, or we've got these quick step buttons here, so you can click on 4 to immediately get 4, 6 to get 6, and so on right up to 64. 64, something that's been added recently, and allows you basically to have more intricate patterns or even more evolving patterns, as I'll show you in a moment. So to enable this, we click on enable. If the filter's not on when we click enable, it will come on. We'll change that to 116 and we'll go to 16. You've also got this fill all and clear all there if you want to start empty or start full, and the randomize button just here, which will just randomize the pattern and nothing else. So let's start that off. So basically when a step is full, the filter isn't applied, and when it's empty it is applied, so anything in between varies. So again, let's go for a random pattern. That's quite nice. You can change the cutoff. That's quite a nice rhythm there. So let's we've got some rhythms going here. Let's just see how they all sound together, shall we? Now we've had a play around with that. Get some sort of levels out. We've got some nice different rhythms going on there at the same time. Change that shape there. Just get rid of layer 2 for a minute. Maybe get that layer 3, get a bit of a pan going on that as well. A bit faster. Okay. Not overly happy with the rate of that. Let's slow that down a bit. And I think now if we just throw in some effects as well, so layer 2, I think if we have some delay on that. And how does that affect, say, layer 3? Nice. Let's just have a bit less on it. And layer 1. Don't think we'll have any delay on that. But maybe we'll have some reverb on that one for sure. Layer 2 reverb. And layer 3. Not so much. Let's see if we can get that layer 2. Something good going on there with the one of these reverse ones. Let's see. But we're going to turn that off completely for layers 1 and 3. How's layer 3 sounding? I think that could do with some phaser, but we'll turn that off for 1 and 2. Don't want it on there. Nice. So all 3 together. And a good thing to do here, let's nip back over to this first one, is to add some release onto it. So if we solo layer 3, if you have some release, then the rhythm keeps going when you let go a little bit. And the same for layer 1. Let's add some velocity in there as well. So what have we got going now? Ooh. And solo that. Now you can see with the all those different rhythms applied and the different filter applied there, you can get some really nice sounds going on. So if you look back to that original patch that we loaded up that was just dry, and now we have this. In fact, what we can do now is add some drive to that to dirty it all up a bit. Maybe a bit of saturation. There we go, all that from that original patch. Yeah, I think that just about covers the rhythm set. Actually, one little thing I wanted to show you is, let's go for layer 1 here. Now, we haven't got the filter on there at the minute. If we put that on, increase that to, let's say, 32. Now, if you didn't know, if you can right click on these tables, you can draw a nice thing like that. So in fact, I'm going to go for 64. And it gives you quite a nice smooth pattern. So that's just something you can do with the much finer sequencer we've got there, but I'm going to turn that off anyway. Go back to that original sound. So that's the rhythm page covered. Now just want to quickly, because it's only going to take a short amount of time, I'm not going to do a separate tutorial for this, is just take a quick look at the output page. There's not a huge amount to say. You've got your equalizer here with low frequency, low mid frequency, high mid frequency and high frequency. Your lows and your highs, you can have a bell or a shelf shape. And you can change the gain and the frequency as well, and you can also change the Q with the medium frequencies just here. The stereo will give you sort of a pseudo stereo spread, and you can even pan that as well. And the transients works the same as any other transients. Bring the attack down and it softens it, increase it, it will harden the sound. Decrease the sustain, it will shorten it. Increase the sustain, it will lengthen it. And the other thing that I just didn't mention there was that this page applies to the whole sound. You can't do it per layer. And then finally, you've got the standard compressor down here with all the usual controls, which can be very useful. And at the bottom, all the information showing you the settings as you are adjusting them. So that covers the rhythm and the output sections, and is the end of this particular tutorial. In the next tutorial I will be covering the sequencer and ARP section. Hope that you found this useful and you've enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.